It was something he commanded Adam to do and Eve. What is that? Anybody?
What do you mean something he commanded Adam to do?
It's something he gave them a commandment to do. But when he went out, when he left the garden, this is when it took place. Be, be fruitful and multiply. That's it, Okoti. You're right. The lineage of Adam through Seth and Cain has significance for the plan of salvation that's not generally understood and expounded. The two scriptures, the two struggle have meaning, and the story that explains the plan of salvation declared it from the beginning. The book of Genesis explains the fall in the Garden of Eve, which we have explained. Adam set about the task he was entrusted with by Yah. His first task was to replenish the earth. Start at verse 1, Saul, and we're gonna stop in between 1 and 2. Trey.
Yes.
Thus,
Pull up the Q Bible.
he can't do, oh, I was gonna say I can put it up here because he can't share it.
You can't, okay.
Hold on a minute. Let me do this here.
Because we want to look at the discrepancy between the KG, where it gives you a whole different meaning of what's
A
being
whole
said.
bunch of them here, boy. It might be a whole paragraph missing. Hold on a minute. Yeah,
It's
let's
just
see.
the way it's being read. I mean, has a whole other different meaning.
Okay,
4.
I got it up. We can see
Genesis
both.
4
I can go back and forth between both.
4 and 1. So
You want me to read Genesis 4 and 1?
yeah, and 1.
Okay, hold on a minute. Okay. And Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain and said, I have gotten a man from Yahuwah. And she again bare his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground.
Stop this out. The text here render, I have begotten a man from Yahuwah. What does it read in the King James? I mean the other. So switch over.
Genesis chapter 4. All right, hold on. Genesis chapter 4. And Adam knew his wife, and she conceived and brought forth Cain and said, I have gained a man through Elohim.
So he said, I begotten a man from Yahuwah, but actually text is not a man from Yahuwah, it's literally a man of Yahoo. The term also knew his wife. Here also, he had known his wife. That means he actually knew his wife before he was left out of God. He'd known his wife to mean before they were expelled from the God. This actually, he known his wife in the God. There are thus a few serious issues here which are not addressed in any serious ways by the commentary. Hold on. The two sons were called Abel, Cain and Abel, to imply that the men's hold on the earth is but vanity. She did not desire to make, hold on, now, let me back up here. Give me a minute. Because I heard somebody else say the same thing. In addition, Rush Hosh pointed out that the accusation sign, now we've seen this in the Septuagint. You'll see the words ETH before the word Cain. You ever seen that? Who has a Septuagint? Have you ever seen the word ETH in your Septuagint?
Have you?
It's in the Sefer.
I mean the Sefer, I'm sorry.
Yes,
My bad. It's right. That's what I mean, the Sefer.
Yeah.
Does it give you a meaning of what that means?
I don't know what it means.
Okay, we'll work on that.
It says it doesn't have it doesn't have a meaning. I think it says that it's a word preceding. It precedes another word, as in the.
Okay. So the sign ET before word Cain and his brother Abel are extensions, implying that twin sisters were born with them. This is what it's implying. The term keeper of sheep. No, I'm going too fast. I'll keep reading. Read 4. 3. I mean 3.
And it was okay.
Verse 3.
And it was so after some time that Cain brought of the fruits of the earth a sacrifice to Yahuwah. And
Keep
Abel
reading.
also brought of the firstborn of his sheep and of his fatlings, and Elohim looked upon Abel and his gifts. But Cain and his sacrifices he regarded not. Cain was exceedingly sorrowful, and his countenance fell.
Okay, Abel brought a sacrifice, a fat of it before Yahuwah, and Yahuwah accepted it. Cain appeared to having forced the ground. The fruit of the ground was lesser offering for a number of reasons. Somebody give me one reason why the fruit wouldn't. He said the fruit was lesser offering.
Because the ground had been cursed.
Exactly, Okoti. And lesser because the ground was cursed. Cain was in effect bringing produce from a cursed earth, when in fact it was being made obvious that a blood sacrifice was required. Moreover, Abel was the first fruit, as were the required of the law. Cain offering was not the first fruit. So in the law, you were supposed to bring a blood sacrifice. Let's go read why. Let's go to Jude. Go to KG, so the 11th.
Okay.
Verse 11.
Yeah. Woe unto them, for they have gone in the way of Cain, and ran greedily after the error of Balaam for a reward, and punished in the gainsaying of Korah.
So they had the same mindset. I'm getting an echo for some reason. The mindset of Cain and what he's referring to, Balaam, of gainsaying. Cain had a whole different intention. The entire understanding of the first fruit system was evident from the beginning. Every facet of the plan and the 10 commandments under the law was evident from the beginning here in Genesis. Even the name Yahuwah, and hence the concept of the third commandment, was known from the time of Adam and Seth, and not as wrongfully asserted when it was given to Moshe at Sinai.
See, that's well, go ahead.
No, what were you gonna say? Go ahead.
That's what I was, because that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say because one was a keeper of sheep and the other one was a tiller of the ground. But
Right.
I think what I always thought was that the reason why Cain didn't bring his best, he didn't bring the first fruits. He just brought anything, you know what I'm saying? Because first fruits is, as far as like with the animal sacrifice, first fruits is one of the most powerful offerings besides the grain offering that you can have.
Yeah, the grain offering, actually, when you look at, that's when you're dealing with Pesach and all that, first fruit.
Right, the first fruits is like, because the first fruits was so powerful, because if you gave, both of them was so powerful because number one, the first fruit was basically, that was the first harvest, which was
right from the ground. Yeah, exactly.
And
but like Yeshua say, the ground was cursed. So actually, he had a problem right there trying to bring forth his first fruit. So what should he have done if he couldn't bring it from the ground? He should have got a sacrifice like his brother did. I mean, same thing. Go ask his brother, look, I need a goat, I need a sheep. Because basically that's what you do when the priest, when you to replenish, to keep from, because anytime somebody sinned, they always had to keep reproducing these animals, right? In order to cover their sin. So all he had is go to his brother. Same thing, get a lamb or a goat, you know what I mean? And say, okay. Should have been no difference. Because like Yeshua said, the ground was cursed. So how could you bring forth your best if the ground is cursed? Because when you read the days of Noah, It tells you in the scripture, no more shall the ground be cursed. So where'd you stop at, Sal? Verse what? 5?
I just did Jude 1 and 11.
Okay, go to, before we go there, Cain's rejection was based on the same attitude that Satan rejected in his greed and acquisition. That's why we read, Jude in merchandise of trade. Let's go to Ezekiel, the 28th chapter.
Yeah, like I was saying, that first fruit offering is very powerful because because the first fruit is usually your first harvest is going to be your best harvest. After that, you might have bugs that might wipe out your harvest. You might have storms. It might be a drought. So, that was saying, in other words, it was saying when you bring your best and your first, he was basically saying that you trusted Yahuwah enough to give him all of your, to bring your best that you have because you trusted him that he was going to feed you for the rest of the year. And the grain offering was basically, that was a poor person's offering. And it took a lot of work because what you did was you might, you taking all your grain, your best of your grain, then you had to have somebody grind it so that it was fine flour. And then after all that work, then you had to, in other words, your family might go hungry for a couple of days, but you still taking this and you offering it to Yahuwah because you're showing him that you trust him and you still bringing your best because you know in your mind that he's going to take care of you. That's why, matter of fact, the grain offering is the one that he calls, what does he call it? Not most holy, but it's something like that. I can't remember right now, but it's the only one that he calls, I think, is most holy, or something like that. It's the only offering that he calls that, and that's the poorest offering.
I think that's dealing with Shavuot. First.
We gonna get into that next month. All the offerings, because it depends on what you had. That if you have a rich person, you might bring a bull. But because that was one of the strongest offerings. That's the same offering that Aaron would make for himself. But if you was poor and you ain't even, because think about it, a poor person that they didn't even have no pigeons or doves. You see what I'm saying? That was like the lowliest, brokest, poor man offering is grain. And that was the most powerful.
Look at Shavuot, it talks about it also represents the first ones that come up into the wilderness, the first, because you're going to have a first group to go out there, but then you're going to have that later group that's referred to in Revelation.
Right.
And
that
plus,
comes
brother,
out of the multitude.
And plus, brother, when they offered the first fruits, they were not supposed to partake of that until after they had made their offering. So that ensured that it would go to Yah and ensure their faith that the produce, that whatever was produced from it would yield more for themselves. But they were not supposed to partake of that first fruit at all. They were supposed to offer that first fruit to Yahuwah. And then after that, what yield from that was supposed to be for them.
Right, just like the Mashiach, because he was the first fruit and he offered himself up.
But when we were in with Yah was leading us, they would always give it to the priest, and the priest would give his first part of it to Yahuwah, because the priest had no inheritance. So they would always get, like I say, the best of the lamb, which was their,
yeah, best of everything. They was able to take so much out. After he put a handful of the grain, he was supposed to keep so much. And the animals, he was supposed to keep the thigh and the shoulder. So,
so yeah, that's definitely, you're all right. Go to Ezekiel, 28th chapter, so, and we're gonna start at verse 1 and read down to verse 7.
Okay. The word of Yahuwah came again to me, saying, Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, thus says Yahuwah Elohim, because thine heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am Elohim, I sit in the seat of Elohim, in the midst of the seas. Yet thou art a man, and not Elohim. Though thou set thine heart as the heart of Elohim, behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that can be hid from thee. With thy wisdom and with thine understanding, thou hast gotten thee riches, and hast gotten gold and silver unto thy treasure. By thy great wisdom and by thy traffic hast thou increased thy riches, and thy heart is lifted up because of thy riches. Therefore, thus says Yahuwah Elohim, because thou hast set thine mind as the mind of Elohim, behold, therefore I will bring strangers upon thee, the terrible of the nation, and they shall draw their swords against the beauty of thy wisdom, and they shall defile thy brightness.
So we see the same thing happening as we saw with Balaam. It's all about gain. Satan looked at the same way when it dealt with his brother. It's all about gain. I want to be just like the Most High. He didn't humble himself like Yahushua did.
That's right.
Go to Isaiah, the 14th chapter.
Mhm.
I have a quick question. I was
Go ahead,
wondering,
Kimberly.
when they gave the first fruit of like their harvest and it was, did they ever give the vegetables or anything? I mean, was that burned on the altar or was it just animal sacrifice that was burned?
Well, everybody didn't have animals to bring. As Sal said earlier, they might have brought something from the ground. I mean, because you had people that didn't have, it's like almost living in the time, I would say, slavery. You wouldn't always have meat. You had
Right.
vegetables. That's what we ate because that was the best we can have. But then at the same time, during that time, we were more healthier because we
Okay.
didn't have meat.
Okay, but what I'm trying to get is, did they actually bring the first fruit of their vegetables if they were poor and didn't have any animals and then
Yeah.
placed it on the altar and they burned them?
You had to bring your first, whether it be animals or vegetables. You had to, because that's just like you said, poor people can only give a dove for a sacrifice.
Right.
I mean, that was a poor man's sacrifice.
Okay,
So
thank
if they had
you.
a dove, they would bring a dove.
Okay. I just, I didn't realize that they had actually burned vegetables and grain and stuff on the altar.
Well, I don't think in this shit, but they would bring like I said, a dove or something like that. Something that didn't
Oh,
cost a lot. You know what I mean? Because you couldn't
okay,
burn the vegetables on the altar.
okay,
Yeah, you didn't put any vegetables on the
No,
altar.
no.
It was like corn. It was certain type of things you had to bring. And then when you brung them, they had to be prepared a certain way. But the grain offering it's just grain. It's no, you have no, and it was beaten. You have no vegetables at all, Kim, was on the altar.
And then
oh,
blood had to be a part of this altar as well. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
okay,
right. Blood and salt, because salt, that's another covenant of the sacrifice. In other words, just think about it like this, Kim. There's a scripture that says that the altar of Yahoo, the altar, the burnt, where they did the burnt sacrifice is Yahuwah's table. So look at the things, and I don't want to go too far because we want to finish Jeshurun's class. But you had wine on the table, right?
mm-hmm,
You had meat on the table, right? You
mm-hmm,
had bread on the table, and you had salt on the table.
But when you were dealing with the covenant, it was all about the cutting.
Yeah, the brick, yeah. But I'm trying to get her to see that it's basically, this is why Yahuwah didn't want you to bring anything that was not pure or that was spotless, because think about it. If you were eating, would you want somebody to put some rotten meat that's cooked on your plate, on your table?
oh, no, not at
Yeah,
all.
you wouldn't want no bread that had mold on it, right?
Right,
You wouldn't want no salt that was rancid, and you definitely wouldn't want no wine that wasn't good.
right, that's true.
That's what he's saying. That's what the
Oh,
Most
okay,
High is saying. So just think about it like his table. That's what the offering is basically. So once they burn it, some of them they put incense on, right? And they made a sweet smelling
Mm,
We're gonna get to that. Don't worry. Next month, we're gonna get all the way up in that.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Where you want me to go, brother?
Go to, hold on. Let me make sure it's the right one. I can't throw this in here. Hold on. Go to verse 6 in Genesis. I said go to Isaiah, but we'll go to
Genesis
verse 6.
Okay. Where you want me to go, brother? 6 and what?
Back to Genesis 4 and 6.
Oh, okay, 4 and 6. All right. Ooh-wee. Okay, 4 and 6.
Cain reject was based on the same attitude we saw Satan reject, as I read in Ezekiel, but here the concept of sin is rejection is put to Cain. Go ahead, 6 through just 7.
Let me point something out right here. See, right here it says, in the process of time, came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering to Yahuwah. But look at Abel. He brought forth the firstlings of his flock. Y'all see that? Okay, where you say go, man? 6?
Verse 6.
Okay. And Yahuwah said unto Cain, why art thou wroth, and why is thy countenance fallen? If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted? And if thou doest not well, sin lies at the door. And unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him.
Stop this out. Sin here is an attribute to Cain. Elohim rejects of Cain's sacrifice and accepts of Abel's sacrifice arbitrary. Hence, Cain had no right to be jealous. Moreover, the capacity to amend the situation lay in Cain's hand. This is how it reads in the Targum. If thou wilt amend thy ways, thy sin shall be remitted. But if thou wilt not amend thy ways, thy sin await thee for the day of judgment. For thou wilt be punished if thou doest not repent. But if thou repent, it shall be forgiven. That's the Targum from the same one. The question is here, is the countenance being lifted up that was fallen? It means that he would then lift up above his brother, for he was the firstborn.
Yeah.
To mean that he could then reach the height of exaltation. That's what Satan wanted to do. It is thus that obedience to El is the key to favor and acceptance. So it's not so much of being lifted up, because everybody want to be lifted. It's about obeying Yah. The phrase unto thee is desire. Did we get there? Hold on. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. Hold on. Let me back up. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to navigate this phone at the same time.
You see, Cain blew it, man, because being the firstborn, I mean, that's, remember you showed me that about how the Melchizedek priesthood was passed down. Because remember, Adam was a king and he was a priest, right?
Right.
Cain would have got that. But see, he blew that because he would have been exalted, but he dropped the ball. And so it went to Abel, but Abel was killed. So here comes Seth. And then we know just by reading Jubilee Jasher that this thing was passed all the way down. That's why the Mashiach is the firstborn and the king and the high priest. Because he brought back this order that was from the very beginning. This is how Noah knew how to keep the commandments. This is how Abraham kept the statutes, laws, and commandments before Moses. So
Okay. The phrase unto thee it is desire regarding sin as it renders is an interesting phrase. The King James renders the text, and if thou doest well, sin lieth at the door. And to thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. The Hebrew for sin is what, Saul?
hold on. I can say we can look at it. We can do it together. S-I-N.
What's the word?
Okay, we're gonna get it right now, brother. It looks like chata. Hold on.
Kata, yeah, you're right. What's the
Uh-huh.
meaning though?
Let's see. It's sin offering. I know missing
you
the
go.
mark, but
Sin
sin
offering.
offering. Mm-hmm.
The term lie is masculine. Sin offering is feminine. The Hebrew reads, at the door entrance a male is lying, a sin offering. Holds at the door is a door of the grave. Holds that it stands at the door seeking to cause one to fall. Holds that it stands at the door seeking, causing one to fall. Holds that it means that sin awaits thee and thou will add more to what thou hast already committed. This is at the door. The phrase is unto thee, it is thy desire, according to it. The tempters seek to entice. The meaning, however, reads sin offering thee its submission if thou desires it. So this is what Cain was dealing with. This is perhaps the key to the puzzle. The King James brother showing that the complex meaning, unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. This is the complex interaction between the fallen host and Adam creation. It was finally climaxed in the offering of Satan and Mashiach in the temptation on the mount, that he could have it all, then if he only worshiped Satan. The text regarding rulership is also reflected in Genesis 3 and 16. These texts are relationships they state are at the heart of the entire descent of the human system, enmity towards Elohim and the structure he set up on the world through the sons of Adam. He set up the world through the sons of Adam. The effect was immediately. Cain did not repent and turn to Elohim. The concept of male lying at the entrance as a sin offering was pointing towards the Mashiach, and it was the Mashiach speaking with Cain, Yahuwah Elohim. Cain didn't act as all had acted since. Cain spoke with Abel, and then he slew him. The way of unrighteousness is justify itself and finds fault. When no fault is proven, it turns to violence. That is what happened to Mashiach and why persecution accomplished the church. The elect by the existence stands as writing against the world. Abel stood as a witness against Cain. Cain slew Abel as mainstream religious persecute and kill the elect. So prepare yourself for the same thing. Go to 8, Saul, verse 8. So he's giving you a open view of what's going to happen to you in a way. Because when you stand before people in righteousness and they can't stand against you no more, guess what happens next? They finna stone you because you're making them look real bad. So don't be surprised if you find yourself, you know what I mean? Like, for example, they use in the book of Acts, when Stephan was putting it down, the word of God, and they couldn't come up against him. What did they do to Stephan?
Put them rocks on his head.
Put them rocks on. That's exactly what happened. So we give you an illustration of how this thing started from the beginning. Because he gave you the book from the beginning to the end. There's no difference in it. And the same thing happened to Mashiach, happened to Stephan. When they couldn't stand before Mashiach no more. The Pharisees, what did they do? Crucify him. So read verse 8.
And Cain talked with Abel, his brother, and it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against his brother and slew him.
So Cain started a conversation with Abel to draw him out into a quarrel. This was away from the presence of their parents. The word talk. What's that word, Saul? Look that up.
The word what now?
When it says Cain, and Cain talked with his brother.
Okay. Here we go. Okay, it looks like Amar or Amar.
Amar.
Let's get, let's make sure.
Strong's H559. Mayor.
Amir, okay.
Man, what does that mean?
It means to speak, command, tell, call, promise, to say, speak, utter, to think, to command, to promise, to intend, to be told, to be said, to be called, to boast, to act proudly, to avow, to avouch.
So we see Amar, which is a Hebrew, must always be followed by the word of spoke, like you said earlier, spoken. But these words have been deleted from the Bible. The actual word of king has been preserved in the Septuagint, the Targum. Let's go there, Sal, and let's read what that says.
To the Septuagint?
Let's go to the Septuagint, yep,
Okay.
4 and 8. Because King James give you a whole nother different meaning.
Yeah,
Oh, come on,
King
brother, let me
James.
talk to you. No, that would never
King James be tripping. And Cain said to Abel, his brother, let us go out into the plain. So he's scheming. And it came to pass that when they were out in the plain, Cain rose up against Abel, his brother, and slew him.
So he said, you see how it says, let us go out. So, you know what I mean? He's having a brilliant conversation like, hey, look here, man, let me talk to you. Let's go out here in the field and let's look at some things. But Cain wasn't thinking that way. You know what I mean? King James made it seem like, okay, Cain, what he says, and Cain talked with his brother. It
Right.
came to pass. No, it didn't come to pass. He addressed this thing right away.
Right.
Envy and jealousy.
Right.
Exactly. Enraged. Exactly.
Right. We talked about that last night in class. Exactly the same thing. Wow. Okay,
See,
where we going now?
right. What usually happens is when light shine on darkness, darkness don't like that.
Hmm.
He enraged now. The Targum Jerome, the MSS, were the words, let us go into the field, which do not have the words indicating a mission. That which was accusative slew that which was transitorium. Saul,
Yeah.
let me see what that word means.
What word?
Accusative.
Where you? Oh, you went to the dictionary?
Yeah, pull that up. We got two of them
Okay.
here. My phone going dead. I need to. ACQUISITIBE.
Hold on, priest. Hold on now. You acting like I'm a teacher or something. AQ what? AQ.
AC.
Oh, hold on. A. You said AQ.
ACQUISITIBE.
Is that right? What I got up there? No.
You don't have the Q. You got too many U's. Take one of the
Okay.
U's out.
ACU or AQU?
ACQ.
Oh, AC. Oh, acquisitive. Hold on.
Acquisitive. Okay. What does that word mean?
To acquire, to ask a question. Let's see. Yeah.
It's accusative.
Oh.
Acquisitive of acquiring a process.
Covetous, grabby, graspy, greedy, mercenary, money grubbing, rapacious.
So we're probably looking at covenants because that's something somebody else has.
Yeah.
And that's basically what, and that's that. Okay, when you look at that, that's breaking the commandment.
Yep, because you're not supposed to covet your neighbor's nothing.
Look up the word transitorium.
All right, hold on. Spell it for me.
TRAN, trans, SITORY.
Transitory. Let's see. Well, you know you old. You talking about some IRA, tiara.
What does that mean, Sal? Pass away.
Well, yeah. That's how the old people just say IRA. Okay, hold on. Tiara. You know you old, boy. Let's see. Tending to pass away, not persistent. Let's see. Let's go a little deeper. Here's some synonyms and stuff, and antonyms. Brief, deciduous, ephemeral, Ephemeral. Well, you come on, man. You can be better than that. Yeah, I'm
Short-lived.
evanescent, yeah.
Short-lived.
Ceaselessly, dateless, deathless, endless. That's an anonym, but the synonyms, you remember that homonyms and synonyms? But anyway, okay,
So we're talking about short-lived,
right.
which was like the wind and hence always vanity and emptiness. This is significant in this man being named Abel, for that was indeed his name. The peace from Adam could not endure among the sons of Adam together with sin. So sin was a problem with the brothers being there together.
Let me see something. Let's see what they.
So when sin came into the world, this created a problem between your brother.
That's right. His name means possession.
Cain's name.
Yeah, it means possession. Yeah. Okay.
So he wanted to take that which his brother had because it was the best. Read 9, so.
And Yahuwah said unto Cain, where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper?
So here you see y'all giving Cain an opportunity to confess his sin.
Right.
The term blood,
I say right.
the term blood is, because he says confess your sin and he will forgive you. But we know, when it comes down to killing somebody, that's at the same time, still giving Cain a chance to come clean.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look at this is two sides of the family from the beginning of time. Because Adam is one side, but we know Cain and his brother is the other side. That divides the seed. The term blood is plural in the Hebrew. The alternative are seen firstly as being the blood of Abel, and the blood of his descendant cries out. Let's go look at that and see how it reflects us. Let's go to Matthew. Now we're dealing with the blood, two bloodlines. Matthew's the 23rd chapter. Let me get this out.
Okay.
And I got to get my cord to plug my phone up because it's down and I need to see.
Wow. Abel's name means breath.
Mm-hmm. Spirit.
Okay. What's going on? Okay, the term blood in plural is Hebrew. The alternative are seen firstly as being the blood of Abel and the blood of his descendants. Matthew's 23, and we're going to start at verse 23 to 30. I think it's the 33rd verse.
Where they go, brother? I'm sorry. I stepped out.
Matthew's 23, and we're going to start verse 34.
Okay.
33, so.
Okay.
Because this is basically because it's the generation of Adam and his son we're dealing with. Because this is a book by itself, whether we know it or not.
Okay. Yeah. Matthew 23 and verse 33. You serpents, you generations of vipers, how can you escape the damnation of hell? Wherefore, behold, I send unto you prophets and wise men and scribes, and some of them you shall kill and crucify, and some of them shall you scourge in your synagogues and persecute them from city to city, that upon you may come all the righteous blood shed upon the earth, from the blood of the righteous Abel unto the blood of Zacharias, son of Barachias, whom you slew between the temple and the altar. Verily I say to you, all these things shall come upon this generation. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou that killest the prophets, and stonest them which are sent unto thee, how often would I have gathered thy children together, even as a hen gathers her chicks under her wings, but you would not. Behold, your house is left you unto you desolate. For I say unto you, you shall not see me henceforth, till you shall say, blessed is he that cometh in the name of Yahweh.
So that's also referring to us as well, because they're going to be some to stone you during the days. That's why the blood goes all the way back to Abel, because you are that generation.
Always take himself out of it. He say, "Don't you."
Yeah.
The curse was from the ground, indicating that it would not yield its strength. Here the ground was used to hide a crime, and it would thenceforth be used to the instrument of punishment. The Hebrew accents after curse indicate it was cursed more than the ground. Hold on. Genesis, go back to Genesis.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Start at verse, where we leave off, Sal?
Was that Genesis chapter 4? Let's see, hold on a minute. And come on now.
Go to 13.
All right, hold on a minute. I have to go back this way. Something's going on with my okay.
Verse 13.
And Cain said unto Yahuwah, my punishment is greater than I can bear. Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid. And I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. And it shall come to pass that everyone that findeth me shall slay me. And
So we see the translation in the KG is interpreted. It is a question. Is my sin so great to bear? It should be a question. Is that a question there?
Mm-mm. You want to go look at it and accept
Yeah, because it's a question. It's not a statement being made.
Mm. It says, Cain said unto Yahuwah, my crime is too great for me to be forgiven. If thou castest me out this day from the face of the earth, and I shall be hidden from thy presence, and I shall be groaning and trembling upon the earth, then it will be that anyone that finds me shall slay me. Hold on a minute.
So in the Tagdon, it reads, is my sin too great to bore? Makes it a statement, but my sin is too great to forgive. Is my sin iniquity is too great to be forgiven? Is a reading in the Septuagint. Is that what you read in the Septuagint? So is my iniquity too great?
Verse 13, yep.
Right, so it's a question. It's not a statement. So it puts a whole nother different term on this. The concept here in verse 14 is that of being divided out from the face of the land and being deprived of one livelihood. Go read 14, Sal.
If thou castest me out this day from the face of the earth, and I shall be hidden from thy presence, and I shall be groaning and trembling upon the earth, then will be that anyone that finds me shall slay me.
So we see here he was cut off from Yahuwah, verse 14. Because the concept here in verse 14 is being driven out from the face of the land and being deprived from one livelihood. And we know Yahuwah supplies all what we have, and being cut off from the presence of Yah and the ability to offer sacrifice, because it still goes back to the sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
Here there is a series of interesting problems. Everyone finding Cain and slaying him is a strange commitment, as Cain and his father Adam was obsolete, the only two males on the planet at that time. Obvious there was something else going on. Problems with the creation account and interpretation to the text to me whatsoever, as explained in verse 15, referring to the wild animals. Read that, Saul.
And Yahuwah said unto him, not so. Anyone that slays Cain shall suffer sevenfold vengeance. And Yahweh Elohim set a mark upon Cain, that no one that found him might slay him. So Cain went forth from the presence of Elohim and dwelt in the land of Nod over against Eden.
Hold up, Saul. Let me get back. I lost my place. This phone.
Does it ever say what kind of mark or what it was that was put on Cain so that people knew that, oh, you're not supposed to kill him or touch him?
I never saw anything, but it had to be some type of mark.
Let's go look at it.
Look up the word mark and see what it means, though.
Sign.
And it's an oath. It's going to be the same thing as that. This word is used in the, I think this is the same one that's used when you go into Revelation with the mark of the beast. It's going to be, I think it's cutting and carving. You see.
Okay.
Let's see. Tokens, ensigns, miracle signs, warning, token, ensign, standard, omen, miracle. Let's see. Let's go to the root word. Let's see. I know that word oath from somewhere. Let's see. So it's just, yeah. So it's some type of, let's see, ensign, token. Okay, let's look at this. It's just one time. There's this in the Old Testament. Let's see.
So Yahuwah, do you think that Cain repented for killing his brother and Yahuwah forgave him?
No, he didn't.
No, he did not. But see, it also says a sign, Saul, too. So
Yeah, sign. But let's see, a token. But no, he didn't, because you gotta remember, Tubal-Cain, all his seed after him was all wicked.
That's what I thought.
Every last one of them.
So I'm wondering why Yah did not want anybody to kill. I mean, normally, you know, they'd say, take him out of the camp and stone him and kill him, because he killed his brother.
well, I think we read something about that, Kim, a while ago, when it talks about about seeing line at the door. When it talked about that, so that tells you right then he didn't repent. Because he was letting them know what's the outcome of this if you don't do what you're supposed to do.
Right, right.
Maybe he if I don't know, if we search, if we were to actually trace down Cain's lineage, you know, you probably have to find the answer in that, why he didn't, because everything is done for his will. So if he let him live, it had to be a reason. But this is right here is going to be the best answer for him.
Distinguishing mark. Okay.
Some type of distinguishing mark, or like where is that at? Just around when the prophet went through that city with the inkwell.
Put a mark. That was a message. You're going through the city. Everybody had the mark on. Trying to think. I think it's Ezekiel. It's in Ezekiel, but I'm trying to find what.
I'll find it. We in class anyway. That's all you got to do. Let's see.
Put mark in.
Yeah, the mark of the inkwell. B-I-L. Wait a minute, I'm tripping. That's all you got to do. Ezekiel 9:4. Let's see, hold on.
Inkwell.
Let me go there. Ezekiel 9:4. Let's see. Let's go look at it. And Yahweh said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of men that sigh and cry, and that cry for all the abomination that is done in the midst thereof. So, I'm sorry.
That would be a different kind of mark, because this is the mark of Yahuwah. You know, Satan put his mark, and he said these people are crying for the abomination.
Right. He put a tav on them. So let's see. So it's a desire mark as a sign of exemption from judgment. So it is a different, and then you see that you have the different Hebrew letters as well, right? Because
Because when you look at Cain, like I said, Cain and his father was the only two men at that time. So, you know what I mean? The only thing that was probably been killing Cain is referring to YM.
right.
It
But
says,
knowing that the people lived longer then, and Adam and Eve kept having children, it could have also been that knowing in the future, that there's going to be more people than that on the earth, he was going to put a mark on him so that no one that came upon him would kill him, because they were living 900 and less than 1,000 years back then. So he had a long time to live, and they were going to continue to have children.
that's true.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good way.
Mm-hmm. And see, that's another thing about it. Now we know these are Tavs, Aleph Tav, Father,
right.
Son, Father, Son, but that's the only thing about this doggone blue letter. They always want to give it to you in this Edomite modern type of but anyway, that's a whole nother thing. All right, let's go back.
So Cain could not build a house for protection without Yah protection. He would be slain by a wild beast. The comment "will slay me" was held to indicate the punishment that exceeded the punishment that was decreed.
That's a trip. See, they got the Tat, the Tet and the Vav here, and then when you go into, I'm just looking at that, the Tet Resh or the Tet Tav, and see how they did that in the Hay. But it's all good. Where we going now, priest?
15 and 15.
I'm sorry. Let's see.
Go back 4 and 15.
Mm-hmm. All right. And Yahuwah said unto him, therefore, whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And Yahuwah set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him. So he set a distinguishing mark on him.
Right.
And Cain
So
went out.
Therefore, who slays Cain should be punished.
Right.
For Cain himself, vengeance should be taken on him after 7 generations, when he will be slain. But until then, none must harm him. Render it similarly to 7 twofolds after 14 generations. The sense is that El dealt with Cain and his generation after the 7th generation. 14 generation was given from Abraham in the sequence of 3 in the book of Matthew. The 14th generation from Adam to Salah, the father of Ebner, a Hebrew, in the sense of the Hebrew would name, but is no real connotation in the 14th sequence. It is thus incorrect. The 7 generations are much more important. Would be correct if it was held to imply that the 7th generation refers to the 2 lineages of Seth and Cain only. Go to 16, Sal.
And Cain went out from the presence of Yahuwah and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east of Eden. And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bare Enoch, and he built a city and called the name of the city after the name of his son Enoch.
So Cain dwelt in the land of Nod, which is 51:13, which is a land east of Eden. It's the same as 51:12, and it means wandering. This has opposite meaning to 51:15, which is Navah, meaning to rest, and hence a home, and also extension to the temple of Elohim and his rest. The sense of the word is to be cut off from Elohim, and the Hebrew language conveys these concepts where the English does not do so. The implication here regarding the land of wandering is important given concept on others of being on the planet, because we know that's where, when you go read in the book of Deuteronomy, is it Deuteronomy where it talks about the land of wandering, when it's dealing with the people of Israel, when they were wandering those 40 years till he let them die. Okay, the implication here regarding the land of wandering is important given to the concept of other being on the planet. He was given a mark on his forehead, and the varieties authorities interpret it means that a sign was given to him as being a letter of his name. Elohim restored the nature of fear of man in the animals following the concept that it was they that threatened him. Yahuwah gave Cain a sign that anyone who found him would not smite him. Thus, we have people able to smite Cain alive at that time. Who were they? Cain went out from the presence of Yah. The text simply says that he knew his wife after his banishment in the land of Nod. He had children after the son of Enoch and was born. Cain built a city in the name of after Enoch. Enoch means teaching initiative, hence makes him a disciple of the train up. The term concerning the cities was building, in other words, a continual process. He was cursed, so he and the name of his city after his son had sought to remove the curse. 18, Saul.
And until Enoch was born Irad, and Irad begat Mahuyael, and Mahuyael begat Methuselah, and Methusael begat Lamech.
Okay, these names are sequence. The name in this sequence are highly significant. Arad means fugitive. This is a city of witness, but it is not sure on what basis. The sculpture of the city is refuge, as found in the law, may actually be as early as the activity of Cain. This would then indicate levels of ordinance were presented in their entirety from the beginning. From out of the city of training, the initiation and the separation from El came fugitive. Mahujah means smitten of El. Then proceeded Methuselah, meaning man who is of El. The lesser here seemed to be an acquisition, begotten separation, then training and system, which result in being fugitive. By correction of El, man is able to walk on the El direction. The process then result in Lamech. So we're going through the generations. Lamech is the seventh in line from Adam. Lamech is unusual Hebrew root of uncertain meaning. It refers to two patriarchs, one from lineage of Adam. In the line of Cain, Lamech is the seventh in line from Adam. In other lines, the seventh to Enoch, which is also the name of the third generation, and the son of Cain. Thus, the message is a sequence and quality of learning as both means to be trained up initially and made disciples. Once Enoch was righteous and others were not. Thus, the time and sequence of the training is critical factor. Lamech in the line of Cain was the first recorded of two wives. So this is where your two wives come from. Relationship to this text, that the usual practice of generations of flood was understood as being that they had one wife for child rearing and the other one for sterile cohabitation. This perhaps comes from the view derived from the name. Read 19, so 19 and 20.
And Lamech took him two wives, the name of the one Ada and the name of the other Zillah. Ada bare Jabal. He was the father of such as dwell in tents and of such as have cattle.
So Ada indicates to turn away, and hence she was a childbearing and allowed to grow up ugly, and hence her husband turned away from her. So she wasn't a good-looking sister. We're dealing with Rachel and Leah again.
Yeah, that's in you gotta go to what's the name to get that though.
What's that?
Jubilee of Jasher, right?
Right. The meaning of the term, according to Strong, is quite the reverse. The name, which is Strong 5711, which hails to mean ointment, and derives from 5710, Ada, which has a meaning to advance, and thus it has a meaning to pass or to continue or to remove. Especially it means to bedeck or bring an ointment upon, and can then mean adored, deck oneself, pass by, or to take away. Zillah, which is the second wife, to have been pleasurable companies, and hence to have a way been in the shadow of being in his company. Hence, her name means shade. This name is feminine, 6738, which hails a meaning of shade, but can also mean defense. The name thus can mean attack and defend, as well as mean given. This was more to do with the spiritual problem of hosts, which resulted in the flood and needed to be explored. This aspect carries on the meaning of the name of the children. Adah bare Jabah. He was a father. Did you read 20? No? Read 20.
Adar Jabal, he was a father.
20 and 21.
Okay, 21. His brother's name
20
was
and 21.
Okay, and Adar bare Jabal, he was a father of such that dwell in tents, and of such as have cattle. And his brother's name was Jubal. He was a father of all such as handle the harp and organ.
Jabal was a father of such dwell in tents and such had cattle. This can hardly be simple meaning of Abe in the first Pastorian, as we have been seen above, and he offered sacrifice to Yahuwah, which is more acceptable than Cain offering of grain. The term relating to tents here is applied to the temple of idols, declared that they were the first to build temples of idols and offer sacrifice to them. Thus, we see Adar has the connotation to adore in a negative sense with idols, and thus to be passed by or turned away. So she was dealing with idols. The name Jabal, the father of those who handle harps and pipes, comes from the mean screen, which 2987 means to bring or carry, in the same as 2986. This was the same root for Jabal, 2989, which has the same meaning, a water course or stream. Explanation falls down here as Zillah had children also, and the main name was Tubal Cain, although he does not seem to see that himself. Zillah, she also bare, read 22, Sal, I'm sorry, go read 21 and 22.
And Jacob said to Laban, give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go into. Wait a minute, hold on, I'm wrong.
Oh, yeah, Sal.
Now I was just looking up tender-eyed real quick. Hold on a minute.
Cross-eyed.
Okay, we'll be going.
4 and 21, 22.
And his brother's name was Jubal. He was the father of such as handle the harp and organ. And Zillah, she also bare Tubal Cain, an instructor of every artificer in brass and iron, and the sister of Tubal Cain was Naamah.
Where do we see this about? Where do we see anything talking about creating weapons at?
And in the book of Enoch.
Right. Who taught them? So it gives you an indication of Tubal Cain, because I think who was that mentioned by Tubal Cain? If Cain killed his brother sevenfold, and something says in the Bible about that sevenfold when Cain killed his brother. I think it was Lamech made the statement. But Tubal Cain improved on Cain's work, preparing weapons for bloodshed, every cutting instruments according, which means swords and knives. Renders to the text as foreigner of every cutting instruments of brass and iron. The King James and other texts show that there were other people instructed by him. Literature and added the explanation of the Targum that the father of means he was the first to make these implements. This is the case also where Satan is the father of lies, being the first to make the seed and teach others to do so. It can be safely taken to mean that Tubal Cain was instrumental in making weapons of war and teaching others to make weapons of war in the world. So we see here the bloodline kind of identify the people. You see, Tubal Cain was a man of shedding blood, as his father was. His sister, Naamah, meaning pleasureliness, which is a feminine 52:77. Naim, meaning pleasure. Naaman was Noah's wife. The name appeared later among the Amorites. The assertion that she was Noah's wife is no doubt introduced to explain the problem with Canaan and its progeny. There seemed no reason for inclusive her other than to link her with the problem that arose through the false worship that came through the Els and the moon, the sun, and Venus, the trinity that follows after Babylon. What does 23 and 24 say, Zahu?
And Lamech said unto his wives, Ada and Zillah, hear my voice, ye wives of Lamech. Hear unto my speech, for I have slain a man to my wounding and a young man to my hurt. If Cain shall be avenged sevenfold, truly Lamech 70 and sevenfold. And Adam knew his wife again, and she bare a son and called his name Seth. For Elohim said, she have appointed me another seed instead of Abel, whom Cain slew.
The pausing text has a few possibilities. Tradition holds that Lamech was blind and led by Tubal-Cain. One day Tubal-Cain, on seeing Cain, told Lamech that there were deer in front of him and bade him to shoot an arrow, which killed him. We read that in Jubilee. Is it Jubilee?
Yeah.
Okay. When Lamech learned what he had really done, he killed his son. This angered his wife, who denied himself to him. He then tried to win them back. Others, such as the wives, were afraid that he would be punished, and he revered them. The sixth sequence then runs from Adam to Lamech through Cain, his seventh generation, cut off from Elohim. And Cain was killed by the seventh generation. Wow. So Lamech is the seventh generation that killed Cain. From Adam and the seventh generation from Cain, truly Tubal-Cain. Thus the sequence repeats again. Lamech was in effect claiming innocence and thus to be avenged 70 times 70. So he didn't confess his sin as well. Running, that is the question and the claim responsibility for slaying, in that of Cain was slain by Lamech accidentally. The argument is such that whatever the case Cain had, a mark of protection was on him, put there by Elohim, and so one who killed him would be punished sevenfold. Lamech merely carried out the sentence of Elohim. This is another application of the law relating to the fifth commandment, that in all explanation man is held to allude to Lamech and young man to Tubal-Cain. However, that seems observed. The contents is that the man slain from wandering Lamech was Cain, and the young man from bruising him was Tubal-Cain. Lamech was wounded in the line, being cut off from Elohim and bruised because his own son was the instrument of him killing Cain. The seventh generation of Adam was the instrument of the death of Cain and was also killed. The line of Seth, 25, so.
And Adam knew his wife again, and she bare a son and called his name Seth. For Elohim said, she have appointed me another. For Elohim said, she have appointed me another seed instead of Abel, whom Cain slew.
Keep reading the 26.
And to Seth, to him also there was born a son, and he called his name Enos. Then began men to call upon the name of Yahuwah.
So, Seth means a substitute. It's derived from Strong's 7896, meaning to place. This is also the proverb original for English word Seth for a weapon. Saul, pull up that 7896. Actually, click on Seth.
Compensation.
8252. Hey, I'm sorry, 8352. You were there. It means what?
So the name of Seth?
Yeah, you got to pull up the compensation.
Mm-hmm.
The third son of Adam. It also means substitute. but it's derived from 7896.
To lay hand upon, to set, station, appoint, to constitute, take one stand, to lay waste, to be imposed, be set upon.
To take one stand. That means take another's place. That's a substitution. From this time, men began to call on the name of Yahuwah. Thus, the assertion that the name was not known until Sinai is fiction. The law was given to the world from the beginning of Yahuwah, was part of the structure that issued it. They have had a halfway point between their misconduction. It's possible tradition and the rest of the thinking who read the Bible but are under the influence of the truant system. Genesis 5.
You remember, this is when they began to defame his name, remember?
Yeah, that's what they say. But they say that's when they begin to call on the name of Yahuwah.
Right. Well, look. Okay. Right. Yeah, that's what the King Jimmy's saying, they begin to call on his name. But we know. Yeah.
Because Noah would have been the next one. Noah your next one in line. So he had to call on Yahuwah.
Okay, where we going now?
5 and 1 through 4.
This is the book of the generations of Adam. And the day that Elohim created man, in the likeness of Elohim made he him. Male and female created he them, and blessed them and called their name Adam. And the day when they were created. And Adam lived 130 years and got a son in his own likeness, after his image, and called his name Seth. And the days of Adam after he had begotten Seth were 800 years, and he begot sons and daughters. And all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died.
So the assertion that it was then after 2 generations that he began to call upon the name of Yahuwah implies a distance from El, a necessity to do so through affection. In the text, we see absolutely longevity of the patriarch being displayed. Adam is alive at birth of Seth and Seth's son and his son, and so all for that generation. Moreover, the breeding capacity of woman was also extended in the longevity. The sons and daughters born to Adam and Eve are also extensive. Eve was bearing children as long as she was 130 years old, and indeed 100 years old. Sister, did you hear that? That sister was 130 years old, still giving birth. Can we do that today?
Nope.
When they get a certain age now, I don't. How they say I don't pass my. How they go, Cherie? I don't pass my what you call it?
The flowering age or something like that.
Past the age of conception.
No, that's another word that you. So where we stopped at?
We had verse 7.
Go to
verse 6. Verse 6.
7 through 9.
Okay, and Seth lived 105 years and begot Enos. Seth lived after he begot Enos 807 years and begot sons and daughters. All the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. And Enos lived 90 years and begot Canaan. And Enos lived after he begot Canaan 815 years and begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Enos were 905 years, and he died.
So in that matter, Seth lived alongside Adam, his father and mother, for 100 years. Seth was substituted in the place of Abel, Transtorian, being who was killed. Enos was the firstborn son of Seth, and his name means mortal, and is less defined that the Adam meaning also man. Thus, there is a change in the stature of the line of Adam because of the original sin. Canaan was a son of Enos. His name derives from the name the same as contraction, meaning to erect in the sense of building, occupying a nest. We saw that in the, was that Jubilee Saul, when he found the writings of Noah
Yeah.
and didn't tell Noah he found the writings? Go to 12 and 13, Saul.
Joshua or Jubilee.
Yes, one of the two.
But that's when he stole them garments. Let me see, where we at? Canaan lived 70 years and begot Mahalalel. And Canaan lived after he had begot Mahalalel 840 years and begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Canaan were 910 years and he died.
So his son was Mahalalel, which is a combination of two words. 410 means fame and praises. 410 El, Elohim. Hence the name means praises of El. We see the sense here that from the proper erection of a home and the raising up young, the phases of El is correctly established. Skip to verse 15, Sal.
And Mahalalel lived 65 years and begot Yared. And Mahalalel lived after he begot Yared 830 years and begot sons and daughters. All the days of Mahalalel were 895 years and he died. And Yared lived 162 years and he begot Enoch. And Yared lived after he begot Enoch 800 years and begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Yared were 962 years and he died.
Jared was the first son of Mahalalel. His name means a descendant. Through the correct raising of the home and family, the descent and restoration of Elohim is made possible. Yared begot Enoch, which, as we have seen, means to imitate or to train, which is derived a narrow meaning of initiate or disciple. Thus, through the descendant of Elohim, the training of the human structure is made possible. Thus is a man perfect. This, in contrary, is the placement of the name of the sons of Cain, where Enoch was progenitor of Cain through seizure of gas at Elohim. This is the distinction between the two lineage. In one, Elohim was extended himself by willing self-revelation to avail man to himself. On the other hand, Cain sought the gas that the condition and kill to do it. This is a distinction made between Mashiach and Satan. Let's go read that. The separation. First Philippians.
Go to Philippians.
Philippians 2, I mean. Because one thought more above the other. One thought he wanted to be above Yahweh, but the other one humbled himself, even to the death of the crowd of the tree. He wants to take over as he is today. I'm gonna have to send all y'all this video, your boy. Huh? Y'all gotta definitely look at this today. Because this vaccine is called a Luciferian. And it's got a chip in it.
Ooh.
They don't hide nothing. They call it the Luciferian.
Wow.
Where you want me to go, man?
Philippians, start at verse 1. So, second chapter, verse 1.
All right. If there be therefore any consolation in the Mashiach, if any comfort of love, if any fellowship of the Ruach, if any bowels and mercies, fulfill ye my joy that ye be like-minded, having the same love, being of one accord and of one mind. Let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, but in lowliness of mind, let each esteem other better than themselves. Look not every man on his own things, but every man also on the things of others. Let this mind be in you, which was also in Yahushua HaMashiach, who being in the form of Elohim, thought it not robbery to be equal with Elohim, but made himself of no reputation and took upon him the form of a servant and was made in the likeness of man. And being found in fashion as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient unto death, even the death of the tree.
So he took off his glory and came down and humbled himself and took on the flesh of this man. He didn't try to take over like Satan. That's why I say you see two different things going on here. Adam and his lineage through Seth also were in the form of Elohim, but not counted equal with Elohim as a thing being gasped. That was the original sin. It was not Adam's sin alone. The sin was committed by Satan, who persuaded Eve to do the same. She, in turn, persuaded Adam. Thus, the entire lineage was affected and became lesser than it may have been. Only then in the line, through a new process, would man be able to succeed, and that through the descent of the intervention of Yahuwah Elohim, who became a man, Yahushua, at the direction of the Most High Eloah, the one true Elohim, who the true Elohim who sent Mashiach to redeem the creation. 21, so.
For all seek their own, not the things which are
No,
Yahushua HaMashiach.
let's go back to Genesis.
And Enoch,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
and Enoch lived 65 years and begot Methuselah. And Enoch walked with Elohim after he begot Methuselah 300 years and begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Enoch were 365 years. Enoch walked with Elohim, and he was not, for Elohim took him.
So this is the plan Elohim had before us, before we sinned in the garden. We were supposed to reach that height of becoming Elohim, as it says in the book of Zechariah. He said, and Dahu will be Elohim, and all the houses of Dahu will also be Elohim. Enoch walked with Elohim, and he was not, for Elohim took him. Enoch was showed the end process and taken to perform another function. So you read Jubilee, you see Enoch in the garden until the time of condemnation. He's writing everything down. He's a scribe, because that's basically what a scribe does. He records. So also was Elijah. And these are the only two men being removed to not see death. Yet they will die as it appointed unto all men wants to die. Enoch points this way, also Mashiach, also Elijah. Enoch was the father of Methuselah. According to tradition, his wife name was Edah, meaning man of a dot. That's what Methuselah means, man of a dot. Is derived from a combination, meaning an adult from the proposition of reaching full length. He reaches the full length of life. The word 7973, shalak, means a missile of attack, a spear. Thus a man of dot. So he, as they say, missed the mark in a way. This would be puzzling if we were not for the fact that it also means a shot of growth. For the same concept of a spear of a planet, and hence means branch, and thus it is a dot of growth. It also has a meaning of man of branch, the meaning that takes a new significance when we realize that the Mashiach, the Elohim, server of the branch. It means to sprout or to shoot a bud. This is dealing with Enoch now. Like Enoch, Mashiach was accepted to Elohim, and Elohim took him. His progeny, the church, as was a man of the dot, sprout, a branch. The earth will not be destroyed until the church has fulfilled its days, and the 144,000 are sealed, and they and the multitude are taken out of the world. The end then will come. The significance of that is blessing, pleasing Elohim, and accepted to prolong one's days and the days of one progeny. The church of the called out ones of the family of progeny of the elect. Thus, the children breeding is not a requirement of salvation. The election, however, requires to raise and train such successors and support the nation. The sequence then has direct application of the called out ones. The earth then was, as it was called, was destroyed until Methuselah had fulfilled his days and the years he died, for the flood came. Hold on. The entire story back to the fall of the host of the inbreeding of evangelical system with man, and then relates to the white sheep and the 12 sheep. And many sheep are sprang from them. This seems to be direct allusion from the elect. 25 and 26, so.
Already there, honey.
And Methuselah lived 187 years and begot Lamech. And when Methuselah lived after he begot Lamech 780 and 2 years and begot sons and daughters.
Keep reading, Psalms 27.
And all the days of Methuselah were 969 years and he died.
So Methuselah outlived his father. Outlived his son, Lamech. The meaning of Lamech has been lost in antiquity. They are both seen, however, as the terminus of the world. The Lamech of Methuselah being the father of Noah, and Lamech of the line of Cain is also the father of Lemah, which holds to be the wife of Noah. So that's why Noah. So Lamech of the lineage of Cain is also the father of Lemah, which holds to be the wife of Noah. So Noah married his sister then. Is that what they're saying? Here's to combine both lines. The apostate idolatrous son of Adar are held to have died, and she alone, that line survived. This is probably explain the later occurring of the Nephilims after the flood. 28, Saul.
And Lamech lived 180 and 2 years and begat a son. And he called his name Noah, saying, this same shall comfort us concerning our work and toil of our hands, because of the ground which Yahuwah has cursed. And Lamech lived after he begot Noah 595 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Lamech were 777 years, and he died. And Noah was 500 years old, and Noah begot Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
So the days of Lamech were established in 770 years, which is a complete sequence and stands in direct contrary to the numbers of beasts of Satan's system of 666. The numerology sequence of the tribute of beast system is simply a device of the first century church. The contrary thus stands as Satan and his system against the Church of El system of the Mashiach. The end results of the lineage was the perfect sequence of the sons of El. As he did with the flood, El will act to destroy the world at the end of the age, Alam, and the entire story consists from the start to finish and easy to understand in the contents of the later prophets in the church. The entire sequence, however, completes the plan of creation in sequence of 7 millennia. Understanding of the, let's go to 6, so Genesis, the 6th chapter. Start at verse 1.
And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters was born to them, that the sons of Elohim saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and that they took them wives of all which they had chose. And Yahuwah said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also was flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of Elohim came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same began mighty men which were of old, men of renown. Elohim saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of his thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And it repented Yahuwah that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And Yahuwah said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and creeping things, and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them.
So the understanding of the fallen host is interbred, wounded up with human creation, and the fornication with the daughters of men. This examined at length, but it is examined here the relation between Genesis text, the view of the text, and an implication of the doctrine of the original sins. The text in 532 shows Noah was 500 years old when he fathered Shem and Japheth and Ham. There are varieties of explanation for the delayed reproduction of Noah. The most rational center around the delay being the reason of the clean break between the new and the old system, which in one system under Noah. While Japheth was the firstborn, Shem is mentioned first because he was righteous and understood that he had been born circumcised. I don't know where they get that from. But I heard that once before. This is a reflection of the covenant with Abraham and showed the relation was understood to precede the flood.
What you reading from, man? Where you? I'm trying to figure where you getting
Stuff
that
I pulled up.
Oh.
In the text of Genesis 6, we see the system has each way bet in the first. The sons of El was the sons of the Elohim, and it's confound to the sons of the prince and judges, where Elohim implies standing in El's stead, and hence rulership refers back to Exodus 14 and 16. They should have defended the system, but openly committed violence. This is the usage of Elohim, where all stand instead of Eloah. The understanding is thus that Elohim is plural extension of Elohim. Genesis 6 and 4.
There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of Elohim came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. The same became mighty men, which were old, men of renown.
So Genesis deal with the Nephilim, and the authority refers back to the original understanding of the text as referred to the fallen hosts. They were called Nephilim because they fell, Nepah, and also caused the word to fall. Holds also that the heart of those who saw them fell in wandering after their enormous stature. The terms in those days refer to a generation of Enos and the children of Cain. Refers back to the ancient legend that the term relates also to the destruction of the generation of Enos, and that a third of the world was destroyed by ocean breaking its bounds, and they still did not repent. The phase as after the flood holds a view that either the wives of Noah's sons were descended from them, so that the children they bore were giant, or it according with the view that Og, king of Bashan, was one of them who escaped the flood with many with him. And that's when you saw the movie Noah, Ark, when one stayed on the ark as a stowaway.
That was what's the name that did that? Tubal Cain.
Right. And see, that was never mentioned. You know, as many times we saw that story, it never talks about the also the garment that Noah got from was passed down, that was from Adam, that had power, that his grandson stole, indicating that Adam and Eve was designated the sons of children of El as well as Seth and Enoch, and hold the point that the Nephilims were interfered ones. He quoted also and approved the comment, which was found, that the Nephilims were angels who fell from Shamayim to the place of sanctuary, to consider this the most likely meaning. Attempt to limit the terms of those days in the days of repentance. So you see here where Satan is trying to interfere with the creation, throwing his ball in it. The term came into the daughters of men means that they begot giants like themselves. The mighty men mean that they were mighty in the rebellion against Yah. The term men of renown means that they were men who brought desolation upon the earth. Let's go to Timothy, 1 Timothy. And let's go to the 2nd chapter.
Okay.
1 Timothy, 2nd chapter, and let's start at verse 12.
But I suffer not a woman.
I'm sorry, so start at verse 9.
In like manner also, that women adorn themselves in modest apparel with shamefacedness and sobriety, not with broidered hair or gold or pearls or costly array, but which becometh women professing set apartness with good works. Let the woman learn in silence without subjection. But I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence. Notice it says, for Adam was first formed, then Eve.
Keep reading.
And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression.
So what do you mean? Go ahead, Sal, finish it up.
Notwithstanding, she shall be saved in childbearing if they continue in faith and charity and holiness and sobriety.
So what's something about these women in the days of Noah that attract these Malachim? That's why he gives you in verse 9 that a woman adored themselves in modest appearance. So apparently they were half naked. That's what they're telling me. With shamefulness and sobriety, not braided hair, a gold, a pearl, a costly ring. Seems like that gold always seems to come into equation when it comes to sin. So these women, as you can see, they, because it goes back to the book of Jubilee again, when these messengers came down and taught these women they taught the women about makeup and all this stuff to make themselves look glamorous. But then also he tells you about a woman teaching, and that goes towards a pulpit, not in a, like, when you look at the New Testament, they taught in their homes from going place to place. And not only that, when a woman goes out into the street and a man asks her something about the book, is she not supposed to tell him what the word of Yah say? Because we're all priests. But then there's an order in his house, as he calls his sanctuary. So the nation's been called a priest. That means you have a job to do as a woman as well. Just like when you look at the book, I think it's in the Kings, where one of them was some man had a problem and he had a slave and she was an Israelite woman. Oh, that was Naaman. And she instructed him on where to go and find the prophet. But if she wouldn't open his mouth, how would he would have known how to wash in the water and to be clean? So, some people take this out of context.
Yeah, because I always thought, I think I looked at that before. I think they changed a woman from the woman.
Okay.
Because wasn't it a woman that was that kept disrupting the class or something like, I can't remember. I remember this used to be a big issue back in the day.
Yeah, that was a big issue. See, the only thing about that whole thing, like I said, when you talk about the house of Yah, there's an order in the house when they were in the temple. The prophet and the priest, they were the only one instructed to do. Because, Aaron had daughters too. But he never mentioned Aaron's daughters as being going into the temple and teaching.
No, they usually did like the prayers and like Elizabeth did.
Right. So, but if you're in your home or you on the streets, you got to open your mouth. Like I said, when Paul and them went house to house, that's what they were doing. So what we have here is a context of Genesis and the entire lineage of the sons of Adam had been corrupted by the fallen host, and that they had to be destroyed, and Noah was pure in his generation. The concept was here that women fell and was saved in her childbirth. We have seen that the salvation is not dependent upon childbirth simply in the individual. It refers to the church and the raising of the nation and the training of the elect with the structure El puts in his family. Let's go to Matthew's. Look back. Before we go to Matthew's, go to Ephesians 3. Start at verse 13, Saul.
Wherefore I desire that you faint not at my tribulation for you, which is your glory. For this cause I bow my knees unto the Father of our sovereign, Yahushua HaMashiach, of whom the whole family in heaven and in earth is named, that he would grant you according to his riches of his glory to be strengthened with might by his Spirit in the inner man, that HaMashiach may dwell in your hearts by faith, that you being rooted and grounded in love, may be able to comprehend with all saints what is the breadth and length and depth and height, and to know the love of HaMashiach which passes knowledge, that you might be filled with all the fullness of Elohim. Now to him that is able to do exceeding abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that worketh in us. Unto him be glory in the church by Yahushua HaMashiach throughout all ages, world without end. Amen.
So to know the love of Yah, which passes knowledge, because that's basically what we're dealing with when you're dealing with people, that you may have the fullness of the Elohim in you, that you, when you speak that word, people listen. Let's go to Matthew 12. You get people's attention because you're actually talking about something. When you ain't talking about nothing, people go the other way. Go to verse 48, 46 through 50.
While he yet talked to the people, behold, his mother and his brothers stood without, desiring to speak with him. Then one said unto him, behold, thy mother and thy brother stand without, desiring to speak with thee. But he answered and said unto him that told him, who is my mother and who are my brethren? And he stretched forth his hand toward his disciples and said, behold, my mother and my brother. Whosoever shall do the will of my Father which is in heaven, the same is my brother and sister and mother.
So he was in a crowd and made this statement. Yet they spoke to him and said, your mother and your brother, they draw the attention to his family member. But at the same time, he flipped it and told him, my mother's my brother. He went back to the Father's commandment because this was the only thing he spoke, was the Father's commandment. He didn't speak of himself. He told you in the scripture, I only come to do the will of my Father. Satan, on the other hand, had a whole nother different idea. There's no doubt from here in the verse, the Melech understood to have corrupt creation. Women were veiled because of the original sin as early as the text in Genesis in their interaction with all the messengers with human creation. Go to Jude 6, one verse. So this is how this generation failed.
And messengers which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he have reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day.
So we see no doubt from here, the verse of Jude 6 also, the messenger understood to have corrupted creation. As you say, women were veiled because of the original sins as the early text in Genesis in their interaction with the messengers with the human creation. The purpose of creation was so that Elohim could extend himself and become all in all in the creation as we were to be extended in the structure of the family without exegetical interference. The structure of Elohim, of the original sin, was initiated in corruption with the creation. The sequence of the generation of Adam showed that the salvation is of the adult form moving over a sequence of generation taught father to son. Thus, the concept of the original sin is not salvageable within an infinite structure. Hold on, give me a second. I lost my place. Give me 1 second. Let's back up, Saul. Let's go to Genesis, the 2nd chapter. We're gonna do a little reading to finish the class out. We ain't gonna read you too long. We'll give you 30 more minutes since you've been working, you know what I mean?
Come on.
Start at verse 1.
Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the hosts of them. And on the seventh day, Elohim ended his work which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. And Elohim blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all his work which Elohim created and made. These are the generations of the heavens and the earth when they were created, in the day that Yahuwah Elohim made the earth and the heavens.
So we see here, he's giving you and telling you these are the generations. This is actually a book that's separated from the rest of the Bible, but it's part of the Bible. But this is a generational book of the heaven and the earth and everything that took place during the days of Adam. Because you see, it stops at Noah. And you see how we was dealing with Cain, Tubal Cain, when he was killed during the days of Melech, which is the 7th generation. Go ahead, Saul.
And every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew, for Yahuwah Elohim had not called it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground. But there went up a mist from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground. And Yahuwah Elohim formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. And Yahuwah Elohim planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. And out of the ground made Yahuwah Elohim to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight, good for food, the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from thence it was parted and became into 4 heads. The name of the first is Pison, that is it which compasses the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold. And the gold of that land is good. There is Bethlehem and the onyx stone. And the name of the second river is Gihon. The same is it that compasses the whole land of Ethiopia. And the name of the third river is Hiddekel, that is it which goeth toward the east of Assyria. The fourth river is Euphrates. And Yahuwah Elohim took the man and put him into the garden of Eden to dress it and keep it. And Yahuwah Elohim commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it, for in the day that thou eatest thereof, thou shalt surely die.
Stop this, Saul. You see here, and it would be, I would recommend all you guys to look at these rivers, because these rivers have different names. They're not as King James put them. But then you see 4 rivers, but then out of these 4 rivers, there's one river that these 4 rivers run out of. And the KG don't tell you that. Did we read that?
No, let's see. Yeah, it says that the river went out of Eden.
To God, okay. But it
Same
didn't
way
give
it's
us
gonna
a,
be, same thing is gonna be in the kingdom. It's the same thing.
right, but it
Come
didn't give
out,
us,
it's
it
gonna
didn't give us a name of that river.
right, but it's gonna come out of the temple. And the Garden of Eden is nothing but a temple.
Right.
That's all it is.
From this, we see the geography was not the same as we have today, and the river flowed quite differently. The garden was clearly identified as being an area encompassed what is now Israel. That's what it say, but I don't know about that. The Garden of Eve was a typographical area dealing with the four rivers of paradise have been examined. The four rivers of paradise embodied in the enclosed sun cross examining the work. The enclosed sun cross appears in the represented four rivers of paradise. The Bible refers this as a river which went forth out of the Eden and parted into four rivers. Traditionally, had it that the four rivers flowed into opposite direction. The tradition is found among the Navajo Indian narration of age of beginning. The home of the, hold on. Genesis, the second chapter, so
Okay, second two and what?
18.
And Yahweh said, it is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him a helpmeet for him. And out of the ground, Yahweh formed every beast of the field, every fowl of the air, and brought them into Adam to see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. And Adam gave names to the cattle and to the fowl of the air, to every beast of the field. But for Adam, there was not found a helpmeet for him. Yahweh Elohim caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept. He took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which Yahweh Elohim had taken from man made he a woman and brought her unto the man. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman because she was taken out of a man. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh.
Stop at 25.
They both naked, and the man and his wife were not ashamed.
So we see here, this is the time the animals were created in chapter 1 as they're listed ahead of the creation of man on the sixth day. Here they were behind the creation, but ahead of the woman. But we know for a fact, when you look at the creation, it's giving you the layout. He tells you, he shows you how he did it. Or he tells you how he's going to do it, and he shows you how he did it. That's where it went. When you read Genesis, and most people think there's two creations when they read this for us, there's two Adams. The creation of Adam from the rib of Adam is similar to the genetic process we now understand. In this fact also, the institution of marriage is set up from the moment of creation of Adam and Eve. The term man and woman are the Hebrew Ish and Isha. The feminine is Ish. Isha means husband, or my man. Adam means ruby, and it comes from the word Adam means to show blood in face of the flourish or turn rosy as to be dyed or made red. Thus Adam was a red man in complex, a ruby. The word Ish is the Hebrew for man in the general sense. British means a man of a covenant, of confederate, of compact made, passing between the flesh, as we saw Abraham, the cutting of the flesh, the covenant. This sense is the reversion of the word British comes from Genesis. Adam. The distinct is made because the act of union of applicant to all humans of all creation. This has significance for what is about to follow the subsequent chapter. Here we see the next series of commandments established. The responsibility to parent was established here, as with the 7th and the 8th commandment. Yah reserves ownership to himself by command. Thus thou shalt not eat of the tree of good and life and evil, in the effect as thou shalt not steal. The 10 commandments regard covenants of another goods is also here established. Truth and acknowledgement, these institutions of entrenched truth and false witness. Let's go to Ezekiel, 28th chapter, 13 and 17. It's still dealing with the book of generation.
Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of Elohim. Every precious stone was thy covering in sardis, topaz, and in diamond, the beryl, the onyx, and the jasper, sapphire, the emerald, and the carbuncle, and gold. The workmanship of thy tabrets and of thy pipes was created in thee in the day that thou was created. Thou art the anointed cherub that covereth, and I have set thee so. Thou was upon the holy, set apart mountain of Yahuwah. Thou hast walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire.
So we see here in Genesis 3, we come across, when we read Genesis, in Genesis 3, we came across the most powerful allegory used in the Bible. The word in verse 1 refers to Nakash, a shining one, is rendered as serpent in English. The shining one is the covenant cherub, the messenger of light, the light bringer, Lucifer, Isaiah 14, Ezekiel 28. So we look at, and I think Mashiach is going to take that position when he comes back. But right now, Satan has that position. The same sense as in number. When we read Numbers, let's go to Numbers, Shaul. And this is what that serpent on the pole is. Numbers 21, 6 through 9. Nakash, seraphim.
Okay, just a minute, brother. He just stepped away for a second.
Okay. What was that? I told him to go to Genesis, Numbers.
We're at Numbers.
Okay, I'll pick it up where he's at. Let me get in my book. Numbers 21, 6 through 9. And Yahuwah sent fire serpents among the people, and they bit the people, much as people of Israel died. So this is where Yahuwah is telling them to look upon the serpent. Your faith, now he's dealing with your faith again. Therefore the people came to Moshe and said, we have sinned, for we have spoken against Yahuwah and against thee. Pray unto Yahuwah that he take away the serpents from us. And Moshe prayed for the people.
All right.
And Yahuwah said unto Moshe, make thee a firmament serpents and set it upon the pole. And it shall come to pass that every one that is bitten, when he look upon it, shall live. And Moshe made a serpent of brass and put it upon the pole. And it came to pass that if the serpent had bitten any man when he had behaved, that the serpent of the brass he lived. So we're looking at this what the hospitals actually adopted, and this was called the seraphim in Isaiah, and in Corinthians they call it the old serpent, which is still Satan, the light bringer. Go to Genesis 3 and 1, Sal.
Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which Yahuwah Elohim had made. And he said unto the woman, yea, have Elohim said, ye shall not eat of the tree of the garden? And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Elohim has said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest you die. And the serpent said unto the woman, you shall not surely die, but Elohim does know that in the day that you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and you shall be as elves, knowing good and evil.
Stop there. So Elohim here is the same plural word. Plurality extends to more than one, and in fact more than two, but rather extend to Elohim. Abraham spoke with three of the Elohims, the messages according to Genesis 18 and 2, where he and Lot addressed them as Yahuwah. There was the change Adam by the seraphim from Yahuwah to cover the plurality usury. The word Aram renders substance, used here actually mean wise or cunning. Did we get down to that?
No.
Keep reading, Sal. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Well, Elohim does know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as elves, knowing good and evil. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. And the eyes of them both were opened, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons.
So the word arum, substance, used here actually means wise or cunning. The word arum is also used for naked in the previous chapter. They were both naked, knowing only good from the conjunction of 17. They were not ashamed being before Elohim. They used the term beast in 3 and 1 in the same sense as the word zoom used in the 4 living creatures in Revelation. So,
Yeah.
okay. You brought up a book and I was wondering where were you at?
No, I'm just trying to see. Oh man, hold on, man. Hold on.
The word arum is also used for naked in the previous chapter in verse 25. They were both naked, knowing only good from the injunction of verse 17. They were not ashamed being before Elohim because they didn't know what their genital parts was. So they both was naked. The use of the term beast in 3 and 1 is the same sense as the word zoom, used